Hey, what's up, Canada and beyond? Welcome back, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, grannies and gators, friends, family, patriots, prisoners, and hostages. I don't think I missed anybody. It is Friday, October 18th, and as usual, we're going to have our financial whisperer, Bryce, with us here in just a second, but I'm going to take just a split second before that to remind everybody to make sure that you smash that like button and make sure that you double check your subscription and your notifications. There are all kinds of social media platform shenanigans afoot, as we should all be expecting given the election. But I'm really excited to see more and more people getting plugged in on Substack, where everything is free, like everything we do, and does not get interrupted, and we get to give everybody all of the receipts for everything we talk about, all of the links and the documents. And the best way to Substack is to make sure that you've got whatsupcanada.org bookmarked. This is the button that takes you to Substack, and also the partner of our show host, co-host on every Friday over at New World Precious Metals, Mr. Bryce Wade. Welcome back. Happy Friday. I hope you made it cheerfully through now. I know you're excited. We got a chance to talk a little bit, but I wanted to take a second and bring this up because we don't do it enough to correlate where to get a hold of you. Obviously, in the show notes, we've got your Twitter link in the bio there, or in the show description. But get over to on our website. It's the best way to find it, and you can literally click here and get a hold of Bryce from there. So how you doing, Bryce?
Yeah, it's been a good week, man. Happy Thanksgiving, bro.
I did have a great Thanksgiving surprise. There was a good several good feeds. I had the turkey coma going pretty good for a couple of days, including leftovers. So no,
Oh yeah.
Thanksgiving was good for me. Managed to unplug for those 3 days, basically. Uh, so yeah, kind of hit the ground running after that. It's been a big week of bombshells and shattering delusions, and taking on the cabal head on all week, guys. We have done some explosive shows this week, so
Yeah, I heard. I've been talking to a couple of people this week, so thank you for everybody that reached out. And my apologies to everybody that I couldn't talk to for the last couple of days because my phone blew up and I had to get a new one. So I just finished switching all my data over today. What a headache and a half that is.
so much for technology making life easier, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a can of worms. Let's not go
Uh,
there.
just being funny. So, I found a clip that yesterday from a guy named Edward Dowd, and that's where we're going to kind of start off with tonight. And I shared this on my Facebook, but I thought, this when I read this post from Edward Dowd. And I'm going to read it for everybody here that are on the 4x2s and can't necessarily see this. But if you don't know Edward Dowd he's you've probably been living under a rock the last couple of years. He's done some major whistleblowing and predictions. That's the nature of his career. So he stated yesterday that central bankers admit that they're buying up gold as an insurance in case everything collapses, quote unquote. Like they don't know, right? Central banks have been hoovering up gold ever since the 2008 financial crisis, and now it's accelerating, up 34% in 1 year. Their press releases say everything is fine. Their behavior says something else. This is something we talk about, Bryce. Get your money out of the banks. Something else we talk about, even under the 250K FDIC limit, you could be waiting for 3 to 5 years to collect. So here it's only 1,000. Down in the States, it's 250.
100,000, yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine how much your money will be devalued in 3 to 5 years if the financial system collapses? That's all you're going to have to wait for, pennies. What precautions are you taking ahead of this imminent collapse? Start securing gold and transition to QFS. I don't even know what that means, but when all
Quantum
comes
financial
crashing
system.
down, you'll have nothing to hold on to, and that is their end game. So that's kind of when I asked Bryce about this, he says, that's where we're starting today. So this the reason I wanted to just kind of connect on with Edward Dowd, he's he's confirming from a much elevated position exactly my concerns and why I bring you on the show every week to talk about what I see as imminent. And so, not that I'm, just, don't have 100% faith in everything that you tell us. This is, again, he's corroborating both of us here in this statement. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, hey, don't just trust what I'm telling you. I mean, I appreciate you if you do, but just go and look at what I'm telling you. All the stuff that I talk about is information that's publicly available. There's no secret knowledge here. There's no like shit from 1,000 years ago and like Illuminati and all this nonsense. It's literal math. It's the literal math of how our system works. Is all I use to see and analyze what's happening and what's coming. Right. We have like the most advanced analytics tools in all of human history, literally at our fingertips, right? So all you have to do is go and ask these questions. What is this? How does it work? Why is it working like this? What are the results and why are they the results that we're getting right now, right? All of those answers to all of those questions are math. It's a mathematical formula that we're living within, right? And so I use this stuff, all of these different areas of the economy to tell me why is this happening and what is happening and what are we going to do about it. That's the ultimate question, right? All of the things that are happening in society, right, in society and the economy and war and all the other stupid shit that we talk about, right, all of that only matters if you answer the question, what am I going to do about it, right? Because all of these people that are doing all this dumb shit, they don't care about us, they don't care about you, they don't care about your family. You care about your family, right? And if you're not doing something to protect your family, nobody else is, right? This is an inherently destructive, intentional system that they have created to steal from us. And the only way that you can protect yourself is by knowing that it's doing that and taking action. So if there's one thing that you get from what I talk about on a regular basis, and there's a lot of people that have reached out to me to say thank you for this, it is you have to take action, right? I'm going to tell you a little bit about that today, stuff that I'm taking action on because I'm super pissed this week actually, but we'll get to that a little bit later in the show. So let me show you the math and the trajectory of what's happening. And so you just talked about the central banks buying gold. Well, let me show you gold. This is gold. Let me blow this up a little bit.
Well, I wouldn't describe myself as pissed this week, but absolutely the beast has been triggered all damn week, and there's been some epic rants this week. So tally ho, show us the gold.
Yeah, so this is gold. So I want to bring your attention to a couple major things. Okay, so this is back in 2012. Can I? Oh, it only goes back. I want to go back a little bit further. I'll have to get another chart. So when I go through this, I'll pull up another chart to show you that going back a little bit further. But I'll come back to that. So this is the main thing, right? So this is 1 year. So this is the beginning of this year. So basically, this is a month before that we started our little show here, right? It was at $2,050. It bottomed out. This is the bottom of this kind of fall. So like right here, when was this? 2020. So this is COVID, right? So there's all this stuff started, and then a whole bunch of nonsense happened during COVID, went down problems, right? So it bottomed out at 1650 odd, and then in 2023 here, it bottomed out at basically 1850, right? More or less. And from that time to now, we're at almost $1,000 up in just like literally a year. But from the beginning of this year alone, it's up $700, right? And if you go back far enough, so say from like right here, we're almost at 300% up on gold in the last 10 years. 300% over 10 years. That's 30% a year average. That's insane. that alone is insane, right? Now the crazy part about this is silver today. So let me show you that. And this is one of the reasons that I invested in silver, and I'm going to be investing more as much as I can. So almost $34. So just under $34, right? So just today, where is it? Yeah, just today. Where is it? That's 18. Yeah, that's from today. Yeah, so from today. So it started at 32. Now it's up at almost 34. So it's gone up just under 7% from the day. Just today.
In a day.
In a day, right? And so the thing that I always talk about, which is the gold silver ratio, right? So let's do the quick math on that. So I did this earlier today for a client, which was, call it 2730 divided by, let's call it just 34. So now we're at just almost 80. So it's gone up a little bit. So
Oh. Hmm.
You still there? Good.
Oh, there you go. You
Okay. Did
froze
I cut
on us.
out? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you did.
Good.
Just when you finished the hitting the calculator button, so we missed
Oh,
everything after that.
oh, okay. So silver's up basically 7% today. Gold went up 1% today. So for the week, I think we're up probably almost 10% because it was at, where's the number at the beginning of the week? No, one day. Oh, pardon me. 11th. There, 13th. So we're at 31. So so basically 8.5%, whatever the math is on that for the week. So if this is from here to there. That's what we did this week. And if you see this, and I talk about this pretty often, is that every time there's a big rise, there's always a pullback, right? Down, big rise, down, big rise, down, big rise, down, big rise. This is what always happens, right? So we're probably hitting somewhere near the top of this rise. There'll probably be a pullback next week, the week after, probably, and then like the trajectory is up, right? It's just an upwards trajectory the further back you go. Except for this, this is what I wanted to show you. This. Sorry, go ahead.
We're seeing these little ping pongs escalating it at a quicker speed, though. I think is what I'm gleaning out of it.
Yes, and I wanted to mention this. So this is basically the peak of silver after 2007. So at 41. So we're only 2/3, basically like 75%, 2/3 of the way to the all-time high of silver, but we're already well past the all-time highs of gold by like a lot. And so this is one of the reasons that I always say that silver is so undervalued, right? Because this is just the raw numbers. I'm not including all of the supply side problems, all of the demand side problems, all of the war, all of the this, all of that. This is just the raw numbers, right? And so so my recommendation to people, if you're on the fence, now's the time. Yeah. So I still think that silver has a much further to go. But this is so when I talk to people, and I talked to a couple of people today about this, like I want to protect my wealth. No problem. You can do that very easy with silver or gold. And the key there is that there's no third party risk, right? So all investments have a third party risk. So you invest in a house, I have to have tenants in that house so that they're paying the mortgage and I'm not. So the third party risk is that they move out, right? Or there's a flood or something. There's something happens to that asset, right? Any other investment that's a stock in some way, right? The third party risk is that company specifically. Maybe the owner screws off with all the money, or they get regulated out of existence, or they made a bad investment and they collapsed. There's lots of third party risk in investments. That's why it's risky. That's why investments are risky. But with gold and silver, it's one of the very few things that has no third party risk. You get the gold, it sits there. And right now, it's accumulating in value because of all of the things that we're talking about on a regular basis. There's so much upwards pressure that it's just sitting there making money for you. So there's very few things in society that just sit there and make you money. Any asset is something that puts money in your pocket, and anything that's a liability takes money out of your pocket. Very easy way to understand these things. And so when you look at all of the investments you can make in the markets right now, they're all at risk. And here I wanted to show you this too because it's important. Where is it? Dow.
If you got $10 in your pocket and it turns into $10.70 the next day, cool beans, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, not the D. Is that this one? I think it's this one. Dow Jones. No. DJI. Yeah, here we go. So what I want to show you is this. So you remember when I said the other day that there was a big problem, not the other day, like a month ago now, that there was a big problem with the market falling? That was this one? No, must have been this one. This one? As this one. So this little dip right here was that 1,000-point drop. And for some miraculous reason, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which is a snapshot of what the economy is doing, has gone up almost 10% in that time. It's crazy, man. So we're hitting all-time highs, because there's been so much money that is leaving there's so much money moving around right now. People like trying to take positions on what they think is going to happen in the coming years, right? And so my position is really clear. There's lots of problems that are not being solved, and eventually when problems don't get solved, they get worse and things break and fall apart. So you're in this situation is, do I have enough food for my family? Do I have protection to keep me and my family safe? And what am I going to do with my net wealth? And where is it going to sit when all of this crazy shit happens? That's the questions you got to answer.
So no, that my swamp donkey brain wrap around this a little bit, and you can tell me if I'm right. So, given the fact we know the absolute shit show that Canada is, we know the chaos of the history of humankind behind the U.S. election going on. All of these things, the chaos of the Middle East, the chaos of Ukraine's starting to wind down, even though little, mini mustache clone trooper there is begging for nukes now. But we're at this point here, I think, where this is reflective of the U.S. election. People are placing their bets now as to what the outcome is going to be, or to protect themselves because they have no freaking clue what the outcome is going to be. But if they've got a way to extract their money out of us, this is why we're seeing so much money moving on the markets. Does this make sense?
Yeah, 100%. And I actually talked to a fellow that was an investor for a family in the UAE, and he was talking about moving money to the US even with all the problems, because and there's a great quote that Canadian Prepper uses, that it's the cleanest shirt in the dirty laundry, because all of the currencies have problems, right? But the US dollar, not only is it the world reserve currency for now, but it also has a rule of law. Like, people just really underestimate the value of that, right? Because the whole reason that people invest in countries is that my investment is going to be safe, and it's not going to be stolen by a bunch of idiots in the government that are either incompetent, moronic, or corrupt. They're just going to take it, right? This happens all over Latin America. I have a good friend of mine had like a silver mine or some sort of mine down in Papua New Guinea, and they're like, he got flown out there, paid really well, was going to make millions on this deal, and they said at the end of the deal, basically like, thank you, now get the fuck out or we kill you. They literally told him, like, thanks for all your help, bro, now leave. Or else, right? And well, this is my point, right? In Africa, I'm dealing with Africa a little bit right now. These people are insane, man. There's no rule of law. There's no continuity of anything. Everything's a scam. Everybody's trying to scam you in some way. It's crazy, bro. And the whole reason, or one of the main reasons that the U.S. has done so well for so long, is because other people could take their money to the U.S., invest in it, and know that they couldn't just get their investment stolen without due process, right?
There's at least the appearance of accountability and recoverability on their investments. Where now, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, now we all know that's an absolute lie. There's two levels of justice, and we obviously know that that's not actual reality, because if you have enough money, you can do anything, and if you don't have any money, you can't do anything, right? But
I got to take a little pause on this, and we got to get to some of these questions and comments, because they're really going to start stacking up, and I know that it's going to drag us into the weeds at least a few times.
Totally.
So this is one that's interesting from Robin is PSF. Okay. With World War III imminent, so are capital controls and freezing markets, including bullion markets, is owning gold or silver ownership going to be allowed? This is not something that has not happened before. But you guys are at New World Precious Metals, and this is for, moving money of significance. You guys have got a plan for that. But for most of us, I think it falls in the puddle in our backyard and disappears for small amounts. And somewhere down the road, there will be a buyback program or a new government, or maybe some law and order. That's just my kind of take. Yours?
Totally. So let me answer this with kind of a side story. So in Australia right now, they're pushing for digital IDs. They're rolling that stuff out right now, right? And one of the requirements that you will need to get on the internet is a digital ID. That's what they're trying to push, right? So there is literally nothing in society that I think that they will not try to control. That's why they want digital IDs. That's why they want central bank digital currencies, right? So have that in your brain for a second, and this is my answer to that. You will only have the option to have what you have when you have it, when all the cards are down and gone. Like, if they push the button and the internet gets turned off and you can only get back on with a digital ID, you only got what you got, right? And so you either and I'm in this boat because I use the wholesale program just as much as everybody else, is that you either have to make a decision sometime before that happens, be like, hey, send me all my shit, or you ride it out and hopefully things don't get taken from you. In either case, they are still trying to do this, right? So this is why I talk incessantly about this, is that if you're not taking action, we're going to lose, right? This is a fight for survival. This is a fight for our future. This is a fight for our kids, our family, all the good stuff that we care about, right? This is a war. It's winner take all. So you have to understand that everything in society is what they're trying to control. Not just you, not just your money, not just where you go every day, literally everything.
So thanks for explaining your question with capital controls there, Robin. And this one from Billy. I was just thinking about this briefly. I'm not sure if Canada has ever confiscated gold. I think the U.S. did.
They did.
But they have had in the past very strict limits, I think, about how much we were able to possess and still do as far as for currency value of different things. But I don't think they have anything currently on that in Canada. I could be wrong.
Not in Canada. So we have the wholesale program, right? We can work in any country on the planet except the US. So that program is not allowed to be used by US citizens. However, they can still own gold. Physical bullion is fine. It's a whole process down there. I really don't deal with the US market really because there's so much competition there. I'm like, who cares about some loser from Canada when you're in the US? Like, who's this Canadian guy? Get bent, But I care about Canadians. I care about what happens in my country. So I'm focused on Canadians and helping us protect ourselves.
American business is about American business and greenbacks. But this one here, I want to answer the second question here from Cheryl Dawn. A correction, that is the only way that I can see any and all of this, the change that happens, is as a correction, because what's been happening is insanity, and insanity is unsustainable, so it can't be scaled indefinitely. So that's how I choose to look at what's going to happen as a correction. But as far as for the U.S. election going to affect valuations, Bryce?
You got to understand that there's already a correction, if you want to think of it that way, baked in, because all of the insane amounts of nonsense they've been doing for literally years at this point, if not decades or a century at this point, like it is a system that has been designed to collapse, right? Because I've talked about this before, is that every dollar is loaned out at interest. There is not enough money in the system to pay for the interest on the money that is created, which means somebody has to lose and it breaks at some point, right? So that point is coming up sooner than later.
Every fiat currency in history has had a shelf life, and we've already exceeded ours. So there is going to be a correction coming. Carol is saying here gold is going to top out at $5,000. Don saying he's buying more silver coins this week. I think there's, so when this is something that probably might confuse folks a little bit. Bryce and Stefan notices, I think when most of us are looking at retail price, and $43 an ounce is basically what you're going to be paying for silver coins pretty much anywhere. When you're looking at these charts, they are in US dollars first and foremost. But there are, how much of a difference is there between what you're seeing on these graphs versus what retail buying is for most of us out here in John Q. Public?
Yeah, I'll show you. That's a good question, actually. So the Silver Gold Bull works in the U.S. as well. They're great, and they're not always the cheapest. You can get some cheaper from them. I had a client talk to me about that, but they're really great. They're a good partner of ours, so I'm not going to knock them. So this is $33.81. This is the U.S. total, so it's up $2 today, and this is the Canadian number. So you can just go to silvergoldbull.ca, and they have a ticker that runs on the top. This is one of the things that I use for this. So 46 or so, up about 280 today, because that's the difference in the exchange rate. Our exchange rate is like 137, 140, somewhere around there, depending on who you're using. And so it's about the same increase relative to each other in the currency, but because we're run by Doofus and his clown crew, our currency is just getting hammered because They're idiots. I don't know what else to say.
Rough question here from Canterbury. Thoughts?
Equity investment is supposed to have almost 5,000 as well, but he doesn't know how to get it out. Dude isn't answering him. I'm not sure what that means actually. Just book a call with me, and I'm happy to help you out. Just put your information in on the website. Just click on the link below the video, and you can book a call with me, and we'll hash it out. Happy to help.
The risk is the government trying to either confiscate bullion, outlaw its ownership, and or reprice it. That's what the U.S. Did. So it worked for them once before, I think, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just kind of. If can gold and silver drop, what makes it fall?
Good question. So supply and demand is the ultimate arbiter of the price of something, right? And right now, the demand is massive. So with silver specifically, there has been a decline in the supply. So the mines that we have available are going down there. Some of them are at the end of their life cycle, and it's very difficult to bring on new capital and new mines, especially since most silver, like about 60% of silver, comes from other types of mining. So there's a lot of upward pressure on the price right now, and there's typically what happens in the gold and silver markets is that when things are normal and things are peaceful, is that money goes elsewhere because you can make higher returns investing in businesses and stocks and different types of investments.
Faster, easier money.
Easier money, yeah. So money flow where energy goes, money flows, right? And so the intention right now is a lot of people are like, hey, I don't know what's happening. There's chaos. There's lots of opportunities in chaos, but there's also a lot of people that are like, hey, I just want to be safe.
I never got into stock trading, even at the penny level, because of something a wise man said to me once. He said, don't play in the stocks at all unless you're willing to lose it all.
Yeah.
So I never really took an interest in that. And this is exactly what you're seeing as people are buying tangibles, physicals. This is what's driving the cost of price up, and the crazier things are going to get, the more likelihood of that vibration at a higher hum continuously over the next little while, I think. This is you've got to be paying attention to keep up to what's going on with BRICS. Lone Arnie, I guess I'll go with my dyslexia. I think that's absolutely driving an awful lot of money away from investors in our country, destabilizing our country. BRICS is doing a massive. They're creating such a viable alternative that people are done with the woke shit show of us over here in the West, and so yeah, it's a ever more growing option for countries not wokeified. That's kind of my take on BRICS. Your thoughts, Bryce? Maybe
it's a trap. It's a literal trap. They want to replace the U.S. dollar with a central bank digital currency, and the enforcement arm of the central bank digital currency is supposed to be China. So the BRICS system is supposed to run on the digital yuan ecosystem, which is similar to it's kind of a central bank digital currency. Not quite yet, but that's where they're going with it. And anybody that gets locked into that system with China, like, you think that China, that has no rule of law, literally killing their own citizens and harvesting their organs, much like Canada now. Thank you very much, Trudeau. But that aside, and these people that are literally trying to enslave and destroy their own citizens, you think those people are going to be better than the U.S.? At least you can do business with people in the U.S. Like, the whole idea is like, yes, they're an empire, right, that is going and doing stuff for their benefit. I get that, right? But at the end of the day, which bully do you want to punch you in the face? The one that will work with you, or the one that will just kill you if you say anything? Like, at least you have the illusion of free speech in the West. There's no illusion of free speech in the East. You do not have it. Everybody knows that. So
Right.
like to me, it's ridiculous. But at the end of the day, people are so disillusioned with the U.S. that they're like, well, maybe we got to try something else because we don't want to be under the thumb and the gun of the U.S. Okay, so you're going to be under the thumb and the gun of this party, please. No, it's a trap.
Yeah, well, I would think of it more of as a threat than that, to our way of life and currency and all of those things, without being a direct threat. Uh, um, and people are, it's not just China. Other nations are using it as as a banking system, and they're using their own local currencies to create trade. So the waters, every bit of testing the waters and growth that they go through over there is take something out of our economy, our world, our universe here, right? So every action has an equal and opposite reaction, I guess. What I'm saying, that's kind of what BRICS is doing as far as for floating out uh, our currencies.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, I missed that question. Say again.
It's for every dollar in growth, every country moving to BRICS, that's a dollar in growth that is not coming here, and another country that is moving trade elsewhere.
It's multiple dollars, actually. It's worse because so you have the knock-on effect of dollars circulating. So every dollar that is taken away from the West to BRICS is actually multiple dollars taken away, because those dollars flow through the economy. So every dollar that's not used, it's a knock-on effect. So it's not just 1-to-1; it's a multiple. So it's actually worse. But that's why. So like the US dollar currently has about 60% of global transactions. It used to have 85. And so the yuan, the Chinese yuan, is almost not used pretty much at all. But what I think is going to happen, and maybe we'll see on the 22nd, is that they're going to start rolling out this new system for everybody to use. And there's already like 100 odd countries or whatever the number is now that that has signed up for this. And what's the word? The intention is to lock people into a new system, right? This is the Great Reset. So empires collapse slowly, and then suddenly, right? And that suddenly is probably coming sooner rather than later. And so even if Donald Trump gets elected, because if Kamala gets in, I mean, and you just kiss the West goodbye, it's literally over. Do we have more time? Is there a possibility to fix it? Maybe, right? But it's not 100%. We're screwed with like it is with Kamala. And even if he were to do that, even if you were to get in, right? Let's just assume for a second that he does, is that he's going to try whatever he thinks is right to prop up the U.S. dollar, because he understands from a business point of view, and he's actually said this in an interview, that the loss of the global reserve system for the U.S. is worse than losing any war. So they might still have the highest technology and the best weapons, but I mean, like the decay from within, we're talking about decades of decay now at this point, right? And if that collapses, then what happens to the West? The entire West collapses. So that only leaves the East, and that might actually save China's economy, because they're just absolutely just collapsing right now. They're already in collapse.
Yeah. So I think Trump has the ability to at least provide the illusion of stability more so. You're right. If Kamala, who's nothing more than a media construct,
Yeah,
and so
just a
is
meat
even,
puppet.
the
Did you see
neck
your
and neck
debate the other
race
day?
that they're in. What's that?
Did you see your debate the other day?
Oh, we
Painful,
covered it
man.
on a show here the other night with, and she's calling it a win. She nailed it in her delusional mind. But
Yeah.
so if she doesn't have words in the teleprompter, she has absolutely nothing to say, right?
Yeah.
32 days.
Oh man, like it's so brutal. Like I actually thought when I was sorry, go ahead.
I wanted to make the point that it's still the illusion of stability. Yes, we don't have the triggering insanity to deal with, but at the end of the day, we have to realize that our entire globe and our global maps are being reshaped, redrawn as we go. This is the birth of a new world, whether we like it or not. And what's happening is this, we have to realize that every leader kills people. Some just make it look like they're heroes doing it, and others become the villains when they're doing it. But at the end of the day, Russia, China, America, not one of them is going to give up the opportunity to use technology to control and enrich their populations.
Yes.
Every single one of them. So this is the equivalent of a half a dozen New York old school or Chicago mobs sitting down at the table, divvying up the planet, and then going and creating the scenery to make it look like this is all natural and incidental and yada yada yada. So at the end of the day, I 100% agree that it's all a trap, but it's which side of the mafia is going to look more like what we recognize as an organized, civilized society, world, and universe. That is seriously up for debate right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And this actually brings up something that I wanted to mention with everybody, because I want to show you this. So let me see if I can bring this up really quickly.
It's a wealth extraction system. That's the demolition squad's job of the Young Global Leadership Program, and their penetration and infiltration of the cabinets. So yeah.
So what I'm bringing up here. So there's this game that I played when I was a kid called Alpha Centauri. It's basically
they wanted to. It didn't work. It's not working.
Well, there's explosions happening all over the planet right now. So like the war is here. So
absolutely, the war is here. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm bringing up on screen here. So this is from my childhood actually, but it's a really good example and illumination and illustration of kind of what we're facing and why. So this is from a game called Alpha Centauri, which is essentially like a civilization game, but it was on another planet. So humanity screwed up the planet so much that we had to go find another planet in Alpha Centauri to go and colonize, right? So that's the whole idea behind the game. And then you land and try to figure out civilization and grow from there, right? But near the end of the game, there's what's called, you have an option to research the technology called brain staples. And so what I'm showing here, citizens of 01 Morgan Industries, which is one of the factions, have been nerve stapled. No drone riots will occur at Morgan Industries for at least 10 turns. And so what this essentially is you have the option to brain staple all of your population. So you push a button, they all get implanted with a brain staple, and you essentially control them. There's no riots, there's no problems, there's no corruption, there's no nothing, no problems at all, because at any time you can push a button and they're dead, right?
Kurt Russell, Escape from New York.
Yeah. And this is essentially what a digital ID plus a central bank digital currency is because what it allows whoever controls the system, and we all know who that is, the central bank digital currency, right? It allows them to have the technical capacity to push a button and you die, because if you can't access anything, if the only way, think of this, like anybody that's ever seen a Tesla, right? There's no physical door handles to get into the car, right? And so there's been problems that people, hey, there's a problem and I can't get out of the car, I can't get into the car, right? Because there's no physical ability to do that. Locked in the
trunk and the maniacs have got the wheel.
Yeah. But so this is what central bank digital currencies and digital IDs are for, is to be in a literal digital prison that if they push a button, you die, because you can't get out your door, you can't get food, you can't go anywhere, you can't do anything. Nothing works because everything will be connected to the system, right? And the reason that I'm bringing this up is because there's something important about this. And so I remember reading an article about this 10, 15, 20 years ago, whenever it was. And basically the developers of this game actually, they got data from the game, and they said that about 65 or 75% of people that played the game used this. So that at some point in the game, they went and did this brain staples. So 75% of people were willing to be like, you're my slave. But the important thing is there, and 25% of them were not. So that's probably about the amount of people in society that if you really got down to the absolute, will you do this? 25% of people say no. And that's about as much as you need for a real revolution, right? Because there's got to be somebody in society that says, no more, not here, not now, not today, not happening, right?
Well, I got a couple things that I want to touch on here. This one from Robin is a PSF. There are hardliners behind Putin in Russia who are as bad as the West neocons. If something happens to Putin, we are in real trouble. Now,
100%.
I think you would appreciate the last 10 minutes of last night's show where an analyst explained using the math that in 26 minutes from an all-out nuclear strike from Russia to the US in 26 minutes, there is more than 1,300 missiles will hit the United States or whatever designated targets. We've got 26 minutes, and the US has only 44 response mechanisms, of which have a 50% accuracy to stop said thousands of missiles. So this is the most blunt basic math. If we allow these guys to go nuclear, the world is over in 26 minutes, no matter where you are, because those 22 that they stop, and that's only one side of the fence, right? The US might get off an equal number as well, but there is no way that they're going to stop 988 of them that are going to be inbound. So this is, one of the things that check out the show there last night, that we need to get off of the crazy train. So might had to just go on that one a little bit. Sorry.
All good. but I think it's an important thing to think about, that we all have nukes aimed at our heads.
Yep.
Like from China, from Russia, from whoever. There's the radicals that are trying to destroy the West. There's the communists within our own countries trying to destroy us. There's people calling for death and destruction of Canada in Canada. Were these idiots here in the first place? I don't even know, but a question for another time. But the point that I'm making,
homegrown Trudeau manufactured terrorist nonprofit organization that now is investigated by the U.S. and now they're in the crosshairs, and so is anybody else that aids or abets or works with them or goes to protests and rallies, including the Alphabet Soup and the Union guys. All you meat muppets, put yourself in the crosshairs with that shit show. Sorry.
Fine, it's your show, man.
Oh, it's been one of those weeks where the beast just has to come out. What's your take on cryptocurrency, Bryce?
It's not my game. I think it's. I used to be. So let me caveat that. I like blockchain technology. I think the voting should be done with blockchain technology, and we should be able to verify our vote online in the blockchain. But that's the technology that underlines and sorry, not underlines. What's the word? Underpins cryptocurrency. And I'm not a big fan of cryptocurrency like I once was, and specifically for two reasons. Number one is that you need an internet connection to make a transaction. That's all fine and good, but if you're trying to make a transaction with somebody, they also need to have that coin and that wallet or that ability to get onto the internet to make a transaction. And so there's lots of opportunity. People made ungodly amounts of money with it, but I think it's a precursor and a prep that was created by the CIA to get people into the idea of digital currency and not actual currency or actual physical assets. Because every dollar that, in my mind, now this is my biased opinion now, is so I think that any dollar that went into cryptocurrency, although you could have made money on the bull runs and the ebbs and the flow of crypto, great if you did. But what are you actually doing with the money, bro? It's literally digital. It's literally like we used to joke at the dawn of the internet. It's internet points. It's internet points.
Yeah, it's like having a million likes and followers on Instagram, right? Or like Monopoly money, right?
Right.
But Nana Sue, we are in Hummer Games right now, and Colleen's comment absolutely follows that up. If you don't have any plan yet because you're waiting for a clear sign, there have been many signs. We have been screaming from the mountaintops for 5 years here. Get basic supplies in your home, connect with like-minded people near you. Absolutely, because and this brings up I want to touch on this point because we need to be careful of the micro of the language. People did you see the video that they're calling this hero we fought to the last second? This Hezbollah guy that had his hand blown off, but he still threw a stick at the drone that blew him up.
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay, well, this is big news. This is the latest leader that they've taken out.
Oh, is
Um,
this the Nasrallah guy?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes, 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 yes. And his final moments were post drone attack number one and up to drone attack number two. And the point that I want to make out of this is people that use the term revolution may as well be in the same category as those that ought not have power but do, because
Mhm.
they hold no value to human life either. They don't have to deal about it. It's just dots and numbers on a spreadsheet. It's the people like us that are going to have to deal with revolution, and only the innocents pay the price. The others are making a gift of themselves to this. When you consider how this would be fought with drones and the technology and the militarized police and those kinds of things like that. No, 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 no. Revolution to me is a holy water on a vampire. No, not interested in revolution. We need renaissance. We need to
Yeah.
make the old system obsolete. We've been screaming about this for a very long time. Get your basics in order, prepped for, we talk about gold and silver and precious metals. That's for the people that have those concerns. That was the number one question that I used to get. How do I protect my wealth in the shitstorm? So this is the questions that we answer. But at the end of the day, it's still boils down to the same thing that I've been saying all the time. Localism is the only 100% safe and effective cure for globalism. Get your community in order, get your ducks in a row in your community, not just yourself. Don't be a weak link. You have some sort of skills, assets, or resources to provide your community, and get your community together. That is the ultimate thing that we all need to be doing. And if you have some pennies to put away in a tin can in the backyard, then consider precious metals, gold, silver, whatever the case might be. If it's only a few dollars, go to silvergoldbull.ca. If it's significant, if you want to avoid the dangers of bail-ins, government intervention, corruption, seizure, all of those things, well, then you definitely need to book an appointment with Bryce. So that's did I clear up a lot in
Yeah,
that
yeah.
one diatribe?
Yeah, so somebody asked in the chat, and I get this a lot. And I want to spotlight this because I was talking to one of the gentlemen that watches on a regular basis this week, and he actually sent me this, and I'm going to be buying some of this. And so what this is essentially canned meat, right? So I get asked all the time, if I don't have enough money for gold and silver, what do I do? Food.
Yep.
Food is the number one easiest thing, and lots of people have said this in the chat, and I'm reiterating now because they're all correct and exactly right. You can't eat gold and silver. This is silver, and it only gets you something that you don't have if somebody is willing to trade you for it. Food is a guarantee that somebody will want to trade you for it because they probably don't have any because nobody is prepared for this, right? So this is, if you don't have enough money for gold and silver, go and get food. Like I guarantee you, if you take care of it so that it'll last for a long time, this is as good as gold that you can trade for. And more importantly than that, you can eat it and it will keep you alive. I've got a lot of food saved up and I'm buying more because I know what's coming, right? Gold and silver is for protecting your net wealth and being able to make a transaction that with something that you don't have, and you don't have to make a barter trade for it. But this is still the very baseline of what humanity was based on, is that if you have something that I need and I don't have it, what can I give you for that thing? If nobody has food, you have gold because you do. And more importantly, you stay alive, right? And so, again, I'll reiterate this one last time. If you don't have money for gold and silver, go use the money that you do have for the things that are going to keep you and your family alive, and go and make sure that you're able to defend it. Because there is, let me just give you the math of how absurd a situation we're in, okay? So our standing army in Canada is 70,000 people. Okay, 70,000. Okay, we have imported
Using
four.
1960s equipment.
Right, and they're really unhappy, low morale, bunch of bullshit, run by idiots, right? All the other nonsense, same thing everywhere. Okay, They've imported 4 million people from around the world in the last 4 years. If something
they
goes
just
bad,
announced today another 4,000 from Gaza.
oh yeah, fantastic. I totally voted for that. So let's put that aside for a second. But just do the raw math. If something happens, who's going to come and save us? Nobody. It is you in your community and the people that you know and the people that are around you that are going to be the only people that matter if shit goes sideways. So have food, have water, have protection, make a community wherever you are. It doesn't matter where you are. You're not going to survive this alone, right? And this is assuming that things go badly, right? So the worst case scenario that you get with buying all this stuff and doing what I'm telling you to do, which is protect yourself, buy food, get gold and silver, the worst case scenario in that situation for you is that you don't have to use it. The best case scenario is that you do have to use it and you have it, right? Because if you have to use it and you don't have it, you're screwed.
What you've got there, that's a new company to me. I have not heard of them before, but I like the idea of just you being able to buy your meat goods in volume there. I'm prepped with all kinds of dry goods, but that's one thing that, that's not exactly the same thing you want to eat every day. As far as for Robin as a PSF, that's why I put such a strong emphasis on community if something happens, right?
Yeah.
And we're not going to be able to protect everybody on the planet, but what will happen will sort itself out on the other end. Worst case scenario turns into Venezuela or the Carolinas. I mean, these are the worst things that can possibly happen. And if we're learn from those things, we actually have a community. We have an ability to withstand them and prevail. There's all kinds of things: coffee, sugar, tobacco, liquor, beans, flour. Those things are great currency. Absolutely. 9mm, hard to find anybody that's prepared for those up here in Canada, I'm sure. Coffee and honey, yeah. The things that don't spoil, easily transport, people didn't think about. The urban centers are going to be the craziest. They're going to be the most ill prepared. And given the fact that the greater density of populations have no actual investment in Canada, they're probably not going to be the most friendly to any of us. So something to consider. Maybe you have a bug out plan or you're prepared for wherever you are, wherever you're at. Power going out, that's a huge one.
Yes. So
ahead.
I was just gonna say, so all of this stuff that I'm talking about here, we don't have to go Mad Max nuclear war. What if
No.
there's a hurricane? What if there's a bad storm? What if the power goes out? What if there's literally anything that's happened throughout our lifetime that we've seen all around the world? Like, it doesn't have to be worst case scenario where you get affected. All that has to happen if somebody decides, hey, I'm not gonna have any toilet paper. I better buy all of the toilet paper I'll ever need for the next 5 years, and then you don't have any toilet paper, right? So your ability to protect yourself and your family is directly related to how much resources you have to do that, right? And that's why people in the East have been stockpiling this shit for forever, because they're a lot lower to the bottom of society than a lot of people in the West, because we have this privilege being in the West that we have systems that work. We have rule of law. We have police that are supposedly protecting us from the threats that we face. Now, a lot of those systems are breaking down now, but that's why I'm talking about this, is because the worse that these things get, the more opportunities there are for things to go worse and wrong, and the less opportunity that you have to protect yourself against them. Just think about the healthcare system for a second, right? We underestimate how valuable a thing, an institution that is. That I broke my arm, or I scraped my knee, or I got some ailment or whatever. I can just show up one day and be like, hey, no problem, we'll fix that up for you. That's what Canada used to do. That's why our medical system was so good for so long. And it's being destroyed from the inside out. But like, most people don't have that. And if that system ever stops, do you have the skills of medical to sort that out in your community? Does anybody in your community have those skills? Well, if not, you better get them, right? Just think about keeping your vehicle running, right? Do you have a mechanic in your community that can keep your vehicle running if it doesn't work anymore, right? Those are the types of skills that are really, really important to maintaining society. And if those people die, or they're killed, or the supply chains break down or whatever, that system breaks.
Yep. This is why I've been harping on community for so long. Right from the beginning. It's, we're gonna, they have a choice of how they can inflict suffering on us. That is the domination of control. They
Yep.
inflict suffering. That's the how they gauge and measure their level of control. And they're going to force us to decide whether we want to go back to the Stone Age or to the 1950s or 60s. And I think when the Renaissance happens and we do have to take a little bit of a step back and a little bit of national isolationism and perhaps deal with a Republic of Canada, things are going to have to look very, very differently. And we have that choice and ability as the backbone of Canada to look after each other and remember what humanity is and do what's right, not what's easy. And we have an opportunity here, I think, coming up. The liberal Titanic is sinking fast.
Thank God.
Yes, thank God, but it doesn't mean we're out of the woodwork yet.
Not
So,
even close. The battle's just getting started, bro.
right. So, the last couple of seconds,
Oh yeah, I
tell
want
us
to talk
a
about
little bit about election process in British Columbia here, and this is going to blow some minds out there. To leave you off with something that isn't totally nuclear, but is still going to melt your brains a little bit.
infuriating nonetheless. So I live in BC. Most people probably know that, but if you don't, I live in BC, right? So I did advanced voting this week, right? So I went and voted, and I actually knew one of the ladies that was one of the elections people there. So I was talking to her a little bit. I was like, "Oh, so how's this work? What's this? What's that?" Because I already know some of the answers. I just wanted to see what they would say, right? So I'm like, "So when are the votes being counted?" And they're like, "Oh, they're already counted." I'm like, "No, the voting machine just counted the votes. When are the physical votes getting physically counted?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't know. You should talk to the manager." Manager comes over. I'm like, "So these are votes. I just voted. I put the vote in the voting machine, and it told somebody that the vote was counted. When are the physical votes getting physically counted? Oh, we don't do that anymore." And I'm like, "What the fuck? What do you mean? What do you mean you don't count physical votes anymore?" I was instantly pissed. And I'm like, what are you telling me that you don't count votes anymore? Well, they're counted by the voting machine. I'm like, okay, so how do we know that the voting machine counted the right vote? It's like, oh, they're not connected to the internet. How does that matter? What do you mean? Like, how do we have a check and a balance to make sure that when I vote, my physical vote is counted for the right team? That used to be somebody takes this piece of paper and puts it over here, and if they voted on the other team, they put that vote and put it over here, and then count them. Like, what are you talking about, right? And I was like, oh yeah, I asked the same question. I'm like, but did you have the same anger that our vote isn't being counted? And they're like, oh no, well, you can talk to Elections Canada about that. And I was furious, man. I'm still it fuck boils my blood right now just talking about it, because I'm like, listen, oh yeah, sorry, and take a wild guess. What company is the voting machine? Dominion voting machines, of course.
I was going
Of
to say,
course, it's
not a
Dominion
chance.
voting
It's
machines.
Dominion, right? Right?
Oh no, it
Right?
couldn't be those guys. No. So I messaged because I'm in a couple conservative chat groups and stuff, and I sent this big long message. I wish my phone got switched over, otherwise I would have showed the message. But I was basically like, "Hey everybody, this is a problem. This is what happened," and they're like, "Oh yeah, but it's probably fine." I'm like, "Is nobody in this country aware of how this stuff works? Like, how could you possibly even make the argument that we have a physical voting system that we've had for 100 years, 150 years, right? And we're like, hey, we got a machine now. Now we don't have to do it anymore. We're not going to count a physical vote that I physically used to vote." I literally, I just, oh man. It's out of
Off,
control, man.
it's mind blowing. It's so surreal. It's hard to even process that there is nothing to to fact check the projection of whatever the system wants you to believe is reality. So I've been seeing reality opposing the polls for a very long time, but they're the polls are always right because they know what the process is going to be to implement the steal, and they project it long enough, they create the plausibility. And so you're right, how can we check it? It's crazy. I think Alberta is just passing a law that none
Yeah,
of that kind of shenanigans is
yeah,
going to be
cut
allowed.
that
So
shit out.
people do
And
that.
this is so somebody messaged in the chat here. Don't know why I'm surprised. I'm not surprised. I'm mad. There's a big difference. I'm not surprised at all. But that's why I'm pissed. Is that like and so the kicker with this is like, so when was this changed? Oh, this year. Oh, just in time for the election. You mean that
Yep.
you're changing how the voting system is work, and we're not counting physical votes? On what planet do these people live where that makes sense? Like,
I
and
know,
here's
right?
here's my last point about this, because this is kind of the coup de grace of this, right? If we actually got an audit of these votes, right? There's a number in the tabulators that they tell us, right? The physical votes better match that fucking number. Otherwise, it's a literal election fraud, and that company should be banned and sued into the ground. And everybody that's in charge of that, they should be investigated and put in jail, because that is the literal definition of election fraud and interference. If you have a machine that was either programmed or was hacked in a way that it changed the voting results because somebody's vote got zeroed out, right? That's not a zero fraud election. And to have zero checks and balances that we're not even going to check at all is the height of absurdity that I can't even put into words. And so what this is really an opportunity for is, if somebody knows the legal system, I was actually going to talk to a lawyer friend that I know about this, is that if we can just sue them and say, like, I want to see the actual numbers, and I want every single one voted. Any of those ones that are wrong, even if there's one wrong, if there's a single one wrong, even one vote wrong one time anywhere, that voting machine and that company should be banned from all elections everywhere forever.
If they're removing the proven system and replacing it with a replacement system that other provinces are banning, there should be something up for discussion on that. But before I lose this question here, Robin is at PSF. I came across a video today on Facebook. I shared it there. I'm going to get it and add it to the Substack tomorrow about how farmers are actually manipulating the weather, particularly to their crops. Apple farmers literally have a device that can protect entire crops and fields for large regions from hail and storm damage. They can dissipate the storms and the hail with their own technology that they have on their farms right here, right now. For those that don't buy into the weather manipulation, if they can do it from the farms, why on earth would people not believe they can do it from the skies, right? So
Yeah.
I agree with your comment. We need to get better on this battle. MSM is absolutely useless. I've had my teeth knocked out for this one over the years, but more to come, and more fights to come anyways. But deep straight freaks seem to love to inflict pain. They are satanic psychos 100%. Just kind of wind out some comments, see if there's any great questions, and call it a week. Yeah, the Liberals say there's no corruption in Canada. We know a little bit different about that.
Did you see his deposition this week where he just got raked over the coals for
Oh,
being absolute moron?
man, we chewed that up for a couple of days. All of the
Okay, good.
lies, the gaslighting. The one that really got my goat last night was Nathaniel Erskine Smith, the guy that wrote the Bill C-293, which is the most evil thing on this planet. Was yesterday out there mocking us, mocking the country for being conspiracy theory idiots. It was the most condescending thing I've ever seen, in such a show of desperation, which I took as such a badge of honor for making their life miserable on this bill. And he's just another one of those liberal rats that's running and not rerunning. He's getting out of politics, but he's dropped his coup de grace and got this, UN bill into the Senate. So yeah, crazy shit. So yeah, if you're bored this weekend, Wayne dropped a bunch of bombshell shows all week. So catch up on some of that stuff. Your minds will melt a little bit. And there's actually some good news in there too. So almost caught up on the comments here. Yeah. Right. So yeah, I don't know. Next week will be another absolute psycho fest, I'm sure. Um, yeah, nothing good comes easy though, Alan. And we don't have to fight them. We have to replace them sooner or later. It's the court of public opinion that changes every government throughout the history of the world. We just don't want to be engaged in that in enough numbers yet to actually make that happen. So yeah. Yes, Esky dogs, farmers can manipulate their own weather. I'll show a bit, add it, make sure that I get that video in the Substack tomorrow. They protect their it's anti-hail tech. Yep, absolutely. So, but what ends up the interesting part of that is it protects not just their farm but the farms in the surrounding area as well. So, if they can do it on their own, um, yeah, we can do. Sorry, Nana Sue, I missed your question. Sorry, there are so many to go through.
Yeah, just repost it.
Yeah, repost
Nana
it real
Sue.
quick. And see if we can get that answer.
Let's actually talk of that.
I don't think we've had Hillary's projected surprise for October surprise yet, but The Simpson did predict that Kamala wasn't going to live to the election, so there is that. And I don't know, Simpsons seem to be more accurate than our world leaders and the mainstream mercenaries, anyways.
Yeah, we're only 3 weeks from the American election. It's crazy, man. So much rides on this. It's actually unbelievable. I've posted this a couple places on Twitter a couple times. That was basically it's kind of absurd how the future of the West and by extension humanity is resting on the election of one person that isn't even a politician and hasn't been and has only been a politician because he's like, hey, screw it, I'm going to do this thing, right? And it's crazy to me that the system has been so corrupted and so broken that that's what it takes to even have a chance, right? So the system is so corrupted that the system itself will destroy anybody that tries to get in to fix it, right? That's how broken it is. And so, like, people in the U.S. like to say, like, "Oh, we've got a republic, we have all these checks and balances." Yeah, well, they're not working because it's been the system and the people and everybody in it has been corrupted to the point where that the ideas that the country were founded on are no longer there. And just like Rome back in the day, that was started as a nation state, not a nation state, a city state, and it was a monarchy, then a democracy to a degree, and then it became an empire. And so 2001 was basically the U.S. turning into a global empire. It kind of was before that, but it really took the next step up in 2001 after the attacks. And now we're to the point where that empire is either going to fall, be reformed, or collapse.
Nana Sue put a question up there, but fun fact about Rome: most people recognize what the Third Reich was, but do they realize that what the first two Reichs were before the Third Reich? The First Reich was the Roman Empire. That was a Germanic led. That was the
the Holy Roman Empire.
Yep, the Holy Roman Empire was the first Nazi Reich. So,
yep.
Fun fact from history. So that's Nana Sue found her question, and then we'll call it a night.
Sounds good. Home equity loan. So home equity loans are actually really hard to get out of. I wouldn't recommend it. You can pull equity out of your house by refinancing, but that would be really expensive right now. So it would depend on what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish. So it depends. I can't give you a definitive answer, but they're calling you about it because they want to lock you into more debt, especially right now when it's really expensive. So I wouldn't recommend it unless you really wanted it or you really needed it for something. So yeah, be careful about that because I've talked to other people that have taken out those home equity loans or like the chip reverse mortgages and stuff like that for old people. They lock you in and it screws up you can't sell your house and all sorts of crazy stuff happens with that. So if you can avoid it, do so. Don't do it unless you need to.
Awesome stuff. Well, thanks again, Bryce, for tipped through Clown World, and look forward to seeing what kind of adventures we're going to be riding on the the magic school bus called Crazy Train Canada next week. So Have a good one, brother.
Have a great day, everybody.
All right. Bye for now. Wow. So crazy stuff. I just wanted to touch on a couple of last comments here that I saw on the way out. Project Blue Book. You remember the movie Independence Day? That's I don't buy it, but that's what they want us to be afraid of 100%. A little bit of final maintenance. As I said earlier, get plugged in on Substack, folks. We're almost at 1,000 folks there, which is a far cry still from the tens of thousands of followers that we haven't got moved over yet from the other platforms. So thank you for what you do in helping with that. Stay plugged into the fight against Bill C-293. If you have information or a story, a whistleblower question, whatever the case might be, that's the best way to do that. And I encourage everybody to support your favorite journalist, your independent, authentic media person, whoever that is taking the risks of going to the gulag forever if we don't get Trudeau out. Support them, whoever that is, wherever that might be. If they're not taking government money and they're fighting for you, this donate at whatsupcanada.org is the best way to help this platform. I hope that answers a question that I saw just a few minutes ago from David Doyle. Thank you for the question. And I think that's it for this week. I think we've got Brett on. We've got a show interview lined up for this coming Monday, but I'll see if I can't drop a line out there sometime this weekend and give people a heads up on what is going to be another mind-blowing interview this coming Monday. So Monday to Friday, 5 days a week, same time, same place. This is the community to come and stay plugged into if you want news and not noise. All right. I love you guys all, and we will see you in a couple days. Have a great weekend, everybody.
In times of global instability, soaring inflation and massive debt, gold and silver have proven to be unshakable pillars of wealth. New World Precious Metals, based in Calgary, Canada, is a leading international brokerage. We offer an easy, secure and cost-effective platform for investing in gold and silver, including our international wholesale program and registered retirement savings accounts. Protect your money outside traditional banking with our physical precious metals, privately vaulted outside the banking system, at secure, insured exchanges worldwide. Gold and silver have been trusted assets for generations, with current projections indicating high returns. And with unprecedented demand from governments, banks and investors, there are now shortages. Precious metals thrive during inflation, geopolitical instability, and currency devaluation. Sound familiar? Now is the time to invest in gold and silver, whether in your international investment account or by transferring registered retirement savings accounts. Experience the security of physical precious metals, combining the safety of physical assets with the flexibility of being like your own bank, offering instant liquidity and a financed line of credit. With precious metals on the rise, don't miss this generational opportunity to protect your wealth. At New World Precious Metals, we ensure your wealth meets its potential. Contact us today and our personal brokers will guide you every step of the way.